Hey everyone, I'm David Leach from Yflex. Welcome to this discussion with Leon Bates. So I'm from Yflex. Yflex, we are aiming to really start to create an expert community that helps organisations embrace and get the best from flexible working. In this series of discussions, we're talking to people from around the globe in different businesses, different contexts about how they've found the last 12 months, how we're learning to work effectively remotely, what flexible working means. So yeah, welcome Leon. We've got some prompted questions as we go through just to help drive a bit of a valuable discussion. But anything you want to talk about at the end, Leon, that we haven't covered, then please do. But I'll hand over to you to introduce yourself and then we'll kick off with some questions if that's okay. Welcome, Leon.
Sure. Hey everyone. So I'm Leon. I'm currently the finance director at Law Business Research. Been in finance for the last 15, 16 years or so, possibly longer, lost count now. Qualified chartered accountant, or fellowship apparently now after 10 years of qualification. So yeah, I've here to talk a bit about finance and the impact that the pandemic has had on all things numbers.
Cool, thanks for your time, Leon. All right, so yeah, to kick us off then, so yeah, what's just reflecting yourself, what's been your biggest challenge during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk from a company perspective first. So from doing business, it's just the uncertainty that causes the issue. So you've got uncertainties in our buying decisions, uncertainty in the people who are buying from us. So being specific, so when it comes to booking something as simple as an event, part of our business deals with hosting events. We have no idea if we'll be able to book an event at the end of the year. And typically when you've got these large, several hundreds, often thousands of people that you're trying to organize, those events need to be booked over a year in advance. So that level of uncertainty it makes it difficult to do business. And then on the flip side, when people are buying from you, then whether or not it's true or not, people roll out the old COVID excuse, cash flow is a bit hard because of COVID. And then at the same time, you don't want to necessarily push too hard because you don't want to be seen as that type of company. So that creates a bit of pressure on the cash flow as well. And then that in turn affects our ability to plan accurately for the future. So yeah, it's just the level of uncertainty makes it really difficult. One of the potential good things that will come out of it is I think there'll be a lot more flexible budgeting, whereas there's still lots of companies that have a budget that gets set at the start of the year, doesn't change. In reality, you just can't work like that. It's a work of fiction by the time you get to month 3 at the best of times, so especially now. So if anything good can come from this situation related to finance, it will accelerate the move away towards flexible budgeting. So yeah, that's a few thoughts on the challenges that we've seen as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think you're right, Leon. I think uncertainty is a big word in the agile community. It's been used a lot. It's probably not the way we would have wanted it, but it's made a lot of companies now understand what uncertainty actually means and embrace it. So absolutely. All right, yeah. Thank you. So yeah, next question was, what's been the biggest change for you personally in your role?
Yeah, so well, I actually started this role in June last year, so when the pandemic is in full swing. So the biggest challenge for me was starting a new job, one, and two, managing a new team. So I literally have only met one of my team in person. I've been into the office once since I've joined. I've been with the company about 8 months now. So how do you create a team culture when you don't have a team in front of you? The things you usually the go-to techniques, like go out for a lunch, do a team dinner, team outing, they're all gone, they're off the board. So you have to be a lot more creative, and it's also, as a leader, trying to create that credibility in with people that you can't really meet in person. It's all well and good having Teams and Zoom and whichever other remote video calling that you can have, which they're all brilliant, but you just can't recreate that same office culture, the chat by the lift, the tap on the shoulder when you want to have a quick conversation. Everything feels a lot more formal and slightly more forced. So that you've got those pressures, but then the expectations haven't really changed. So as a finance director, I'm still expected to deliver the job, deliver on the job that I was hired to do. Obviously, there is some flexibility, but at the same time, the company will hold me and I hold myself to a certain standard, and it is that much more challenging to reach in the current time.
Yeah, like you say, a very tricky time to start a new role, new company, new team. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few people in that boat. All right. Has the pandemic changed the strategy for you and what you plan to invest in? You mentioned the budgeting side, but how has things changed?
Yeah, so again, I alluded to the fact we run in-person events. So again, one of the benefits of the that's come out of the situation is we've been forced to accelerate our move to digital. So the company was already on that trajectory, moving from the on paper, the print to digital journey. We were a publisher. We're more moving towards the online subscriptions. That was already in full swing before the pandemic came. So it's accelerated that. Also with events, there's a massive emphasis on digital and virtual events, webinars, and those type of things. Again, actually, no, those weren't in our arsenal until last year. So that's been something. So we've been able to create new revenue streams as a result of our inability to hold in-person events. And in terms of the way we plan, it is that flexibility. You just have to be ready to and anticipate the fact that your plans and your budget is going to be wrong. But so you have to have some kind of buffer built in. I mean, at the best of times, you should be doing that anyway, but it's even more so now. And we're owned by private equity, so it's about having a regular dialogue with the investors, the PE house, the banks, just to keep them in the loop of what's going on. So people aren't just happy anymore with an Excel spreadsheet which projects us being profitable. They want to see more evidence of that on a more regular basis as well. So I guess in a nutshell, it's changed our planning and the way we invest. We're definitely more focused on the digital delivery and digital supplies, and also being more flexible with the way that we plan.
Yeah, that's good. I was going to ask actually about the increased frequency of collaboration with your investors. I guess that's a positive thing because you're looking at the data, you're looking at the global environment, and then making decisions more often.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
that's good. That's a positive thing. All right,
Yeah,
thanks, Leon.
absolutely.
So yeah, next one. So what's your outlook in regards to flexible working specifically? So we've been mandated to work from home. You mentioned you've been into the office once, but what's the company's view at the moment on remote and flexible working?
That's an interesting one. So before I joined, I'd been used to working at least one day from home for the last 5, 6, 7 years in my last few roles. And when I joined, hoping to replicate that, it was very much seen as, oh, we don't do that. So this is when I was interviewing, and incidentally, I was offered the job in February. I didn't start till June, but I was offered in February, so before all of this kicked off. So obviously, fast forward a few months, the story is very different now. So the outlook is there's definitely going to be an element of flexible working going forward. It's not going to be a given with our company. I know, whereas the company I left in June, they've got 100% flexible working. That's probably born more out of necessity. Being a startup, you've got to conserve all the cash you can. But with law business research, the default position is you'll be in the office 5 days a week, but then you'll be able to apply for flexible working. And we already have had some people apply and been accepted. Some people have taken advantage of the fact you could work from anywhere and have moved to quite far-flung corners of the UK to re-establish themselves there, and that's okay. That works. From my perspective, I think it depends on the role you do, but if you work in a team and you're trying to manage a team, I think you will always need some time together in the office. You just can't recreate that team atmosphere or that collaboration fully using these remote working tools. So my ideal would probably be 3 days in the office, 2 days outside, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Some of the companies we've spoken to are a little bit concerned, I think, because they're of a scale where they've got 1,000+ employees. I think by law, if you get a flexible working request, you have to investigate it and almost put a case together.
You have to consider it.
Yeah, so there's a concern on that side, but yeah, I think like you say, no one's completely sure at the moment. But yeah, certainly very interesting. And yeah, similar, some of the companies we're used to 9 to 5, Monday to Friday in the office, and they're thinking about the bias for managers if you end up in this mixed model where some of your team are sat next to you and some of your team are remote. So it's all change. We're naturally biased, I suppose, to the people we're closest to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting period of time. All right. I guess related to that then, what's the plan at the moment for your office?
So we're probably approaching capacity before this happened. Unfortunately, we had to go for a round of redundancy, so we're not quite at capacity anymore. But the flexible working will enable us to hold on to the office a lot longer than we probably would have. So that's one of the benefits. So we will be keeping the office for the time being. And yeah, as time goes on, we'll see how the flexible working helps us to do that. So if we got more hot desking and things like that, there's not as much pressure to have a seat in the office for every single person, every single employee. So for now, we'll be holding on to the office.
Yeah, fair. I think, again, some people we've spoken to have already negotiated themselves out of their properties and assets, and others are thinking about investing lots in innovation centres. But I guess, yeah, at the moment, just taking a considered view, probably a good thing to do.
Yeah,
that's good.
I think so.
Thanks, Leon. Yeah, I guess just finally, we've covered quite a lot there across your team and office space and strategy and investments. But anything we've not covered? Any other thoughts? How's it been over the last year for you, and anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I think 2021 will be completely reliant on how well the vaccines take and how and what happens again once winter time rolls around. So if we have to keep staying with this start-stop economy, it will always be difficult to not just do business but to live your life. I think it's really important from a putting work to one side and being able to keep yourself healthy mentally, because it's unusual the way that we're operating at the moment. So I think there'll be a lot of pressure on not just business but society as a whole if the current state of affairs continues as it is much more into 2021. I think you're already seeing signs of people rebelling against authority, and that's bound to continue. But I think overall, as I said at the start, it comes down to how well the vaccines take, and yeah, I think that will make a massive will be the biggest thing that will dictate how 2021 will go on. I think beyond 2021, I mean, who knows? You could just about predict what's going to happen next month, let alone beyond this year. But I think there will definitely be a different type of economy, definitely more remote. We've already seen the high streets transforming as well. Your typical stalwarts that have been there for decades are no longer there. Have been usurped by more digital options. You're seeing the digital organizations purchasing the likes of Debenhams and organizations like that. So it's interesting. So interesting times, and absolutely no one will be able to predict what happens next.
Yeah, I've forgotten all about that. Yeah, I think it was Boohoo that went for Debenhams, and just
that's
impressed
the one,
by their digital presence, not actually the stores. So that's changed the dynamic as well. A lot of empty high streets out there. But, all right. Thank you very much, Leon. Appreciate it. I think we'll probably grab you back at some point to dig in a little bit more to the sort of rolling forecast and budget side that you talked about. I think that's a fascinating area for businesses at the moment. So
sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your thoughts, Leon. That was very much appreciated. Thanks very much.
Cool. All right. Cheers.